I do see a little notification saying it is live streaming.
Yes, I just. All right, I'm gonna share my screen, and then we'll give it maybe another minute before we get started. I have several more people signed up, so.
Dennis with the garden will not be joining us. He had something else come up.
Okay, thanks for the heads up, Paul. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're a few minutes after 3 o'clock. Welcome everyone to today's Benchmarking and Energy Efficiency Portal demo. That's also known as BEEP. My name is Emily Andrews. I'm the Executive Director of the U.S. Green Building Council Missouri Gateway Chapter, and I'm pleased to host this today along with Ameren, Missouri, and the City of St. Louis. We'll just go ahead and get started. I have a few introductory slides to get through, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mike Brockman from Ameren to actually jump right into the demo of the BEEP tool. So we're doing welcome and introductions right now. I'm going to talk about why we benchmark, and then I'm going to talk about the city's requirement for benchmarking, which is part of what is driving this demo and the availability of this tool in general. So why benchmark our building energy use? First, the definition. Benchmarking is tracking your building's energy use and comparing your performance to the past and to similar buildings. That's our definition of benchmarking. We pursue this because buildings have a big impact. Not only do Americans spend about 90% of our time indoors, our buildings use a lot of water, they generate a lot of waste, and they represent about 40% of the greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. And this is residential and commercial buildings in the US, these represent. Locally, the climate impacts are even greater. This chart shows the greenhouse gas inventory from 2018 for the City of St. Louis, and it shows that commercial buildings and residential buildings together represent about 65% of the greenhouse gas emissions. And this is really from the energy use in those buildings, the natural gas and the electricity that we're using in our buildings. So why benchmark? Also because we can start managing what our energy use, a phrase that we use all the time. You can't manage what you don't measure. I like to think of benchmarking like a Fitbit for your building. It also, you can't do better with, you can't reduce your energy use if you're not tracking it in the first place. So, or you don't know that you've reduced it if you're not tracking it somehow. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, 30% of energy used in our buildings is wasted simply through inefficiency. There's a lot of opportunity there. And half of all energy savings are possible through no and low cost operational improvements. Now, this is going to be the case for some of buildings that haven't already pursued a lot of high performance strategies. If you have a higher performing building, that's going to be harder to find ways to save energy. But really the first step is benchmarking your building energy use. You can also benchmark your water use and even waste in your buildings using the Energy Star Portfolio Manager. So the reason that we're here today, I think, is really to talk a little bit about the BEEP tool as it relates to requirements that the City of St. Louis has. They have a Building Energy Awareness Ordinance, also known as a benchmarking ordinance or a benchmarking requirement, that was passed and signed in 2017 and requires that all municipal and private buildings over 50,000 square feet track and report their energy and water use annually. So this is commercial buildings, multifamily residential, multi-tenant commercial, institutional buildings, and any kind of other things that you can think of that are 50,000 square feet and greater. There are a few exemptions to the legislation, to the requirement. If a building is under occupied or or vacant. If it's manufacturing facility because they use energy differently, or if they're in some sort of financial duress, or if it's a state or federal building, they don't have to comply with local requirements, though we do encourage them to comply and track their energy use as well. So buildings that are not in compliance with this ordinance are not eligible for the issuance of a new residential or commercial occupancy permit. There are also fines that are written into the ordinance, but I'm not sure how often those have been levied by the city. I think the bigger stick for a lot of people, particularly multifamily buildings or multi-tenant buildings, is the building occupancy permit. So we do offer training like this. We have a benchmarking basics sessions that we do on a regular basis, and the City of St. Louis, their building division, is available for one-on-one assistance as well if people need that hand-holding through the process. So every year on May 1st, these buildings that are over 50,000 square feet are required to report for the previous calendar year. So the next deadline is May 1st of 2022 to report your 2021 data. So that's how it works every year. This is the city's benchmarking website, stlbenchmarking.com. This is kind of your one-stop shop to find what you need to report your data, and it also talks you through how to comply. It has a lot of different resources available and links to different opportunities as well. So this is where you want to go if you need to learn more about the requirement or how to comply. And then I do want to touch just briefly on a kind of companion requirement that the city passed in 2020, which is a building energy performance standard. So this kind of takes benchmarking to the next level. With benchmarking, you just have to track and report your energy use, but with the building performance standard, these same buildings will be required to meet a minimum level of energy performance. And the standards were approved by the City of St. Louis. They actually put a new board in place called the Building Energy Improvement Board to oversee implementation. And they approved the standards in 2021. We're in 2021, May 4th of 2021, they passed those standards. So most buildings have until 2025 to comply. And the metric, the standard that the buildings have to meet is a weather normalized site energy use intensity, or EUI. And so this is your energy use divided by square footage is energy use intensity. And the compliance will happen through the benchmarking reporting. So the city will know, because you're reporting your data annually, where you track against that energy use intensity that's been set for your building type. And the way that the way that these metrics were chosen was that the city looked at benchmarking data and chose a mark to try to move us to be more energy efficient. So that is kind of where this is all why benchmarking is important, because it can help you manage your energy use and save some money, but it also is related to requirements that the city has to be more energy efficient in our buildings. So I am going to pass it over to Mike Brockman from Ameren, Missouri. He's an energy efficiency specialist there, and he's going to talk us through the benchmarking and energy efficiency portal demo. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can share, Mike.
Great, thanks, Emily. All right, so yeah, like Emily said, I'm program specialist with Ameren, Missouri, working on the residential program, specifically income eligible, and then also do broader support for the Biz Savers program, as well as just the rest of the residential portfolio. And then one of my tasks is actually to be the point person for this benchmarking energy efficiency portal since I joined in like February of 2020. So let's get into it. Like Emily mentioned, the City of St. Louis passed the Building Energy Awareness Ordinance in 2017. So at that time, the requirement really got Ameren stakeholders, customers, as well as people working within Ameren to think about how we can help our customers comply. So the tool was officially adopted in the MIA 3 plan, which covers years 2019 to 21, so the current plan. And we actually, with the help of mainly Rich Wright on our team, was able to kind of get the portal in production, as they say, late 2019. So it was available to test and for people to check it out. 2020 was a lot of internal training for our team, especially me being new, getting up to speed, figuring out the steps to, get the tool fully functional with the correspondence with the portfolio manager. We definitely had some great customers that were testing it out and giving us feedback of any hiccups or errors that were happening. And then my position is really just to be the point person between our customers and our IT team, who are, delving into those pretty complex issues that might be happening with getting like large sets of data from our data warehouse to Beep, then over to portfolio manager. And that kind of spilled over into 2021. And so that's where we are now, is kind of, I would say, a controlled promotion of this tool to key stakeholders like yourself and partners that can help us, test out the tool and provide that feedback to hopefully get it to a point where it's running really smooth and super helpful for our customers. I'm sure you all have heard about the portfolio manager, but that's the URL. It's just a well-established no-cost tool, allows users to track and access energy and water consumption across their entire portfolio of buildings. We love it because it really encourages customers to invest in energy efficiency upgrades and take advantage of our programs. And then, of course, it has the ability to connect with portals like Beep. And so, yeah, a lot of utilities across the country have a similar portal, and helping customers out, doing benchmarking, and just making it kind of a second nature thing instead of something that's being quote unquote forced upon you. And then it helps paint a full picture of energy usage. Like Emily said, you can get your Ameren data in there, your Spire data, your water data, and even waste, and really get a full picture of how your building is performing and how you can make some upgrades to help it perform better. So you can find the Beep portal. It's pretty easy right now. It's at beep.ameren.com. The idea is to provide a single point of entry for building managers or anyone working with or for building managers to verify multiple electric accounts associated with a single facility, and then allow for that upload of data, usage data, directly over to Energy Star Portfolio Manager. You can also view that data within Beep and actually download it into Excel spreadsheets as well. The tool has the ability to transfer up to or download up to 24 months of usage data. The cool thing about the tool is it's automatically connected over to our data warehouse. So when you request a tool to either download or export data, it's going to be the most up-to-date data from our warehouse. And so that's kind of a thing that just happens automatically with the interaction between our portal and data warehouse. And this method of registering at Beep and pulling this information is going to be faster than some of the old ways, which could just mean collecting your bills and keeping really good track of entering each month, or reaching out to our business center and requesting the data once it gets up to that May 1st deadline, which can be risky if you wait too long. They have a lot of requests coming in at that time. And then my last point here is the tool is really cool. It maintains the privacy of individual tenants at these facilities. And I'll get a little bit into that deeper further on, but there's not going to be as much need to ask tenants for their account numbers and get release forms and all that the way the portal works. So that was something very important to our customers when we were pitching the idea of this portal. And feel free to interrupt with or not interrupt, but raise your hands with any questions or just yell out. I'm happy to answer as something pops in your head. So there's a couple things that are important to know when going into using this portal. What's super handy is to have a real good list of addresses or meter numbers associated with the buildings you're trying to benchmark. Meter numbers is a little bit harder to wrangle. So a lot of property managers I've been working with really rely on their rent rolls or their apartment lists to complete the steps to get all your units included in this data download and what we call locations within Beep. A second thing to know is some account numbers. So the way that Beep works, if a building has 4 or more units, you just need one account number tied to your building. And that could be a common area account number that you, as a property manager or working for a property manager, would easily be able to get. Unfortunately, if it's 4 or if it's 3 or less, then you will need the account number for each of those units or accounts. So you might have to, in that case, talk to your tenants and get release forms. But any larger multifamily or commercial building, 4 or more, you're just going to need that one account number, which is really cool. I kind of see the tool working in 3 different ways or scenarios. So you can use the tool just to work within the tool itself. So the first scenario is just obtaining aggregate data within the tool, making that search and then downloading to Excel. The second way is working and connecting over to Portfolio Manager. And so this is by far the most popular, at least in my experience working with customers so far. Portfolio Manager is such a popular tool already. A lot of our customers have that set up and they just need Beep to connect in. And the third way is you can be new to both portals, so you can simultaneously register for Beep and ESPM and get everything going. But like I said, number 2 is the most common. So what I'm going to do next is kind of go step by step into how you connect your new Beep account to your existing Portfolio Manager account. So the portal works like a lot of other things that you sign up for. You're going to register, fill out some basic information, and then Beep's going to shoot you an email to confirm your email address. And within that email, there's going to be a link that you just click, and that will get you on your way to completing the registration steps. So then once you click that link, you'll just sign in like you would anything else, click login. And this first question is going to pop up for you. Do you wish to benchmark your property or obtain aggregate usage data? So since we want to connect over to Portfolio Manager, we're going to click benchmark your property. And then it's going to ask, are you an existing Energy Star user? You're going to say yes to that, and then click continue. That will pop up this secondary registration page, which adds some more pretty basic information. The important thing is here is Beep is asking you in this blue box to enter everything exactly as it appears on your Portfolio Manager account. So you can pull that up if you need to at this step and just make sure everything's aligning. All of our drop downs and questions here are blanks to fill in or matching up with what's in your Portfolio Manager account. At the very bottom, there is a question about if you're Energy Star partner. It is inconsequential to how you're registering. So you'll know if your company or whoever you work for is a partner, but don't worry too much about this question. If you're not sure, yes or no will get you to the right place. So yeah, you're going to click submit there. And the next step is Beep provides you a page that displays your unique ID, or what we like to call a token. So you're going to want to, at this point, highlight that token, copy it with your mouse. And then Beep does have a message here I circled in green that says once you go over to Portfolio Manager and paste that over into that dialog box, you're going to want to log out of Beep and back in. And we'll go into that in just a bit, but I just like to call that out because it is a step that can be easy to forget. So yeah, now we got our token. We're going to want to go over to Portfolio Manager. And so what you're going to do is go to contact. You're going to type in, go to connect and then add contact, which will bring up this box here. And in the name section, you're going to type in exactly as it appears, Amram Services Benchmarking Portal, and click search. That will pop up this box to my left, which if you type that in correctly, you will see the portal pop up here, and you're going to want to click connect. And then, so once you click connect, you're going to pop up this box here, this is where you're prompted to paste in that unique ID. So you'll just paste that in. and click that you agree to terms, that you can click on that hyperlink if you need to review those, and then click send connection request. And just quick reminder at the bottom is once you do that is log out. Once you do that to log out of Beep and back in, it kind of makes the connection kind of complete with this step, or finishes the handshake. So once you do that log out and back in, you're going to go back to Portfolio Manager. You're going to click on the Sharing tab. You're going to click Share or Edit Access to a Property. And then it's going to pop up this page right here where you select the number of properties. You can choose one, some, or all of your properties that you have loaded. In this case, I just chose one property, which is the Coronado. And then you're going to want to highlight your portal that you just added right there. And then you'll want to choose personalized sharing and exchange data at the bottom. Then you're going to click continue to continue the process, which will pop up this box on my left here. You're going to see the Coronado is loaded, so that's good to see right there. This number in parentheses next to it is your ESPM building ID. We're going to need that later, so just keep that in mind. And then we see our portal loaded here underneath that. So all that is good news if you made it to this point. And then in this blue header, you're going to want to select full access and then click edit under exchange data. And that's going to pop up this secondary box to my right. In this box, you're going to want to say full access for property information, goals, improvement checklists, and recognition. And then yes to share forward. And then click on that apply selections. And then after that, that secondary box will go away, and then you'll click the share properties button. All right, since we did like another kind of handshake with the two portals, this is when we go back to Beep. So there is a lot of kind of back and forth. So it's good to have two screens, or have both pulled up, ready to go. So once you do that log out, log back in, Beep is going to provide this next question for you to kind of start filling out. So it's going to say, we see that you want to add a building. Do you want to create a new one, or do you want to add a building that's being benchmarked in Energy Star? Since we do want to connect to that building over in Energy Star, you're going to click that second option. And then I told you to take note of that number that was right next to the Coronado. That's what you're going to want to paste right in that building ID spot, and then click submit. So now you have a building that's added, but you still need to add the actual meters or accounts and locations to Beep to be able to send the data that you want to over to ESPM. So like I said, there's two ways you can do it: by address or meter ID. Address is by far the most popular with the customers I've spoken to. It's just, it's kind of an easier piece of information to get, especially if people are consultants working for large multifamily companies. And so you're going to want to just type in for each building that you want to benchmark. If it's a campus style building, you're going to want to add each, singular building in that campus to get all your units or meters that you want to add to Beep. So in this example, and what I suggest you do is just do the address number and the name of the street to start off with, and kind of see what that pulls up. You'll see, if you have your handy dandy rent roll next to you, you'll see all of the addresses you want to add, and you can deselect any that do not belong to your property. Once you're comfortable with what you selected, you'll see that anything that you clicked on this left-hand side is going to pop up over here on your right-hand side. So in this case, I added four or more locations. So Beep at the bottom is just prompting me to enter just one account number tied to any of these locations above. So what I would do here is just, as a property manager, I would figure out what suite 147 or any of these others were, and just plug that account number in there, just one of them, and then press submit. Any questions here? I know this part in the past has brought up a couple questions, or can be a little confusing. Looking good. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, I'm just moving around your faces just so I can see everything. So once you add those locations, you feel comfortable with that, you're going to see this page pull up for you. The good news here is if you see status enrolled, so that means you've done everything right up to this point. And there's two options for you to select at this point. So you can either export to Energy Star, which we do want to do, or you can view usage data within Beep and download to Excel if you want. So for our case here, let's export to Energy Star. So you'll click that button, you'll see this box pop up, and it's going to ask you how many months of usage data you want to send across. You can either do 2 or 24. It's basically the least amount you can send over and the most. So I always recommend sending over 24. It's going to, like I said, it's connected to our most up-to-date data warehouse information. So it's going to send you very accurate, timely usage data. And then the second question here is, would you like to set up recurring exports? I also recommend clicking that button. Currently, as Paul knows, that we're working on fine-tuning this functionality. We're discovering that the recurring exports are kind of coming in at different times, in some cases not happening every month or for several months. So I do have a ticket out with IT to dive into that. They've had to prioritize some other very visible projects right now for Ameren. So we are on the docket for them, but it just hasn't quite happened yet. But the good thing about the recurring not functioning 100% is that you can always work around that. And so anytime you log into Beep and go to this section, this page, and export, it's going to give you, like I said, the most up-to-date usage data. So if you notice your recurring export hasn't happened for a few months, just log back in, go to this stage, and export again, and you'll get what you need to see. So we'll go on from there. I did want to show you real quick, if you were just to view the usage data within Beep, this is what that looks like. It's pretty simple. You just select your starting month, your end month, and click search. And like I said before, it's up to 24 months of data. So in this case, I just got 12, but it will show you the start date, the end date, the usage data, and of course it's in kWh. And then at the top right, there's a download button that will export to Excel for you. And then if we hop over to Portfolio Manager, this is how that data comes across after you export. So to get to this, you'll go back to Portfolio Manager, you'll click on the building that you want to see or that you just exported data for, and select the Energy tab, and then click on the meter that you added, which is the aggregate electric meter, Ameren. And then it's the same information that you saw over in Beep. It's the start date, the end date, the usage in kWh, and then you'll see over here the portal. You'll see that you are connected and getting that data fed directly from our portal. So that's good to see. In the past, we had some customers on these calls and in other calls that wanted to see a little bit more information, like demand or total cost. And unfortunately, at this point, Ameren, for security reasons, is not able to pass that data across. But the good news for the building ordinance, the kWh usage does get you, what you need to comply with that ordinance. And then you can also fill in anything else that you collect monthly or are able to get via other requests with Ameren that way. And then real quick, I just wanted to point out that on our homepage, there are some spots for you to get some support. So in the top left, there's a FAQ section for you. The support button is going to pull up a form that you can fill out a quick explanation of what you might be experiencing. And that sends email directly over to my email, so I can take care of you then. There's also a phone number that's going to redirect directly to my email. So if you leave a message for me, I'll definitely reach back out to you within a day. And then there's also a helpful user guide down here at the bottom right. So with that, those are all the steps that you need to complete to connect Beep with ESPM. So I'll just open it up for any questions anyone might have, or anything else people want to talk about.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody have questions for Mike about the portal? Or the city's benchmarking requirements in general? We can. No questions.
I'll probably
Hey,
have a
Kyle.
lot more once I give it a whirl.
Yeah, for sure. And I know with Paul and Kyle, I've done some just like one-on-one sharing of screens, and I know Kyle, I haven't forgot about you. We got a ticket in for that as well. So yeah, so like it's really helpful to share screens and really see what you're seeing as a customer, and it's helping us kind of debug what can be a complex system. I'm no IT guy, so as the point person, it's super helpful to get your direct, summary of what you're experiencing, so that I can pass it along and at least get it started, so that come 2022, when this deadline's approaching, that we're in a better spot than we are today. So really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks. You've been helpful.
Great, thanks.
Paul, did you have any questions? Any specific questions? No, you're good. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, we can go ahead and wrap up, give you back some time in your day, since we were slated to go until 4 o'clock. I'll just thank Mike again for his demo, and I do have another benchmarking basics session on the calendar, or that I need to get on the calendar, but we're going to host another one on December 14th, and we'll be planning out some trainings and opportunities for next year as well. So stay tuned for that, and feel free to reach out if you do find you have questions to Mike about BEEP, or me or Rajiv about benchmarking, and we're wrapping up. So thanks for being here today.
Great, thank you.
Emily,
Have a good one.
everyone.